Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force.
The Force?
And the Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, it binds the galaxy together.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, a young Jedi apprentice stops his light jog, sweat glistening on his forehead. On his back, he carries an old Jedi master who whispers instructions into his ear. The apprentice interrupts his master with a question. Is the dark side stronger? If I were that master on that apprentice's back, I would say yes. The dark side is stronger. In this special video, my first Geek Rant, as I'll call it, I'll be discussing the dark side versus the light side. I will be analyzing which is more favorable to the other, the pros and cons of each. Most of all, I will be determining which one is stronger. First, let's describe both the light side and the dark side of the Force. The light side of the Force is described as the Force in its purest state, as referenced by the Jedi. Qualities of the light side are its calming nature, its contemplative state, and its composed essence. As Yoda would say to Luke Skywalker on Dagobah, you will know the light side when you are calm, at peace, passive. Of course, the greatest users of the light side of the Force were the Jedi, who were always looking for balance in the Force, never getting too high nor too low. There was no passion. There was no hatred. However, there was an opposing viewpoint to the Jedi and the light side of the Force. Another group, self-proclaimed the Sith, favored a contradictory use of the Force, the dark side. By contrast, the dark side of the Force is described as the Force in its most corrupt form, again, in a Jedi's opinion. Qualities of the dark side are its damaging nature, its destructive state, and its dominating essence. As Darth Bane would say to Darth Zana, the strength of the dark side lies with the power of the individual. The Force comes from within. Of course, the Sith were not the only practitioners of the dark side of the Force. Other factions who trained themselves in this aspect of the Force were Dark Jedi, Bondo Gora, and the Night Sisters of Dathomir, to name a few. Darksiders attempted to use their emotions rather than block themselves from it. Through their passion, they gained their strength. However, that passion and its strength came at a cost. Both the light and dark side of the Force had their pros and cons. While the light side was very effective in keeping one's calm and grace, it lacked in power and dominance. And though the dark side was very valuable for one's strength and vigor, it was difficult to control and detrimental to the soul. Because the light side of the Force focused on balance and tranquility, Jedi and other practitioners of the light side were often very open-minded and controlled. With a clear head, they were able to see all their options, all the possible ways to subvert an issue. Mace Windu's use of Shatterpoint, for instance, was a showcase of the benefits of the light side. As an example, Mace could see that Count Dooku's death would have brought a total end to the war had he been killed on Geonosis. Of course, Mace did not kill him due to his remorse for his old friend, but still, he could perceive his importance. Though his use of Shatterpoint was more clouded during the war's end, he was even able to perceive the importance of Anakin Skywalker. Yet, he could not pinpoint Skywalker's exact role. Yes, Shatterpoint has been used by Darksiders as well, like Darth Caedus, but more often than not, its use was attributed to Jedi and Lightsiders. Another example of the light side's benefit is indicated in Obi-Wan's fight with General Grievous. In the Revenge of the Sith novelization, it states, "It was not Obi-Wan who would defeat them. Obi-Wan wasn't even fighting. He was only a vessel, emptied of self. The Force, shaped by his skill and guided by his clarity of mind, fought through him. It was Obi-Wan's total and complete trust in the Force that gave him the ability to go toe-to-toe with Grievous and his Magnadroids without as much as a scratch. It gave him the ability to see every strike, every maneuver, and counter it with inhuman speed. Perhaps the most prolific light side power was its ability to heal and sustain life. The culmination of this being a Jedi's ability to retain their identity in the physical world, though in a non-physical manner. This was something even a Sith Lord was incapable of, though it was always their ultimate goal. As Qui-gon would say to Yoda, eternal life is the ultimate goal of the Sith, yet they can never achieve it. It comes only through the release of self, not the exaltation of self. It comes through compassion, not greed. For all the power of the dark side, the one thing many of its practitioners wanted to achieve was never achievable through its practice. Nevertheless, the dark side had a few benefits of its own. Because the dark side focused on power and strength, it lent itself well to many destructive and tremendous abilities. Drawing on their passion and rage, the Sith were able to apply their dominant will over others. In contrast to Jedi healing, Sith used Force draining. While Force healing was used to rehabilitate others, Force draining was used to weaken them, and in succession, strengthen the caster. Darth Traya, for instance, would use this ability against 3 Jedi Council members to great effect, amplifying her own abilities extensively. Another example of a dark side benefit would be the extensive use of Force lightning. For me, Force lightning was one of the most profound expressions of the dark side through a physical manner. To explain its extensive power, I'll read through the Darth Plagueis book. A Jedi sufficiently strong on the Force can be trained to produce a facsimile, but not true Sith lightning, which, unabated, has the power not only to incapacitate or kill, but to physically transform the victim. Force lightning requires strength of a sort only a Sith can command because we accept consequence and reject compassion. To do so requires a thirst for power that is not easily satisfied. The Force tries to resist the callings of ravenous spirits, therefore it must be broken and made a beast of burden. It must be made to answer one's will, but the Force cannot be treated differentially. In order to summon and use lightning properly, you will someday have to be on the receiving end of its power, as a means of taking the energy inside yourself. Plagueis' explanation would be backed up by several examples. Both Darth Bane and Darth Sidious have showcased such power with Force lightning that they've been able to turn their foes into ash. And as Plagueis said, only a true Darksider could conjure the power, as it required extensive focus and control over the Force. While Force lightning was an extremely powerful ability, I do not believe it was the most profound tool of the Sith. Although extremely common among Darksiders, Force Rage was perhaps the most fruitful and lush ability in their arsenal. Because of its usefulness and abundance, it was almost always one of the first powers to touch a Darksider. Even the Jedi recognized the natural occurrence of the ability and sought to deny it in favor for a calm balance. In most situations, the dark side would come quicker and offer you the help the quickest. After Luke Skywalker asked Yoda if the dark side is stronger, he would answer that it was not, but rather quicker, easier, and more seductive. When a user, light side or dark side, uses Force Rage, they experience a rush of adrenaline that enhances their physical movements with astonishing speeds and incredible strength. This single ability is what initially led me to believe that the dark side is inherently stronger than the light side. There are several examples from both light side and dark side users in regards to their use of Force Rage. Let's look at the fight between Arne Lanier and Darth Malgus in the book Deceived. This will be especially helpful because they fight twice in the novel. Once, while Lanier is powered by her rage, the other when she was not. In their first fight, Arne would describe that she was fighting angry but did not care. Her anger afforded her a speed and strength that could match the great Lord Malgus. During the fight, she even had the upper hand, but was talked out of killing Malgus by her companion. She then fled and would meet with Malgus at the end of the book. In their final fight, Malgus would insult her, stating she was only a mere child of hate. Though anger smoldered under her, she was only a fraction of what she could be, as she had put trust in the Force once more. All that being said, Malgus easily defeated Lanier without her Force rage. Again, we see the dark side being used to the benefit of Anakin Skywalker in the Revenge of the Sith novelization. Throughout the Clone Wars, Skywalker had fought equal with Dooku, but it was not until their final duel and his use of the dark side that he was able to defeat him. Using the pain of his life, using rage as his weapon, he allowed himself a speed and a strength to pummel through Dooku's defenses and eventually bring him down. Anakin's son, Luke Skywalker, would experience a similar scenario when they would confront each other for the last time. Anakin, now Darth Vader, would attempt to apply Dune Mach on Luke in hopes of breaking his resolve. Instead, Vader sets free a dragon within Luke that strikes out at him with heavy cleaves. Eventually, through his rage and hatred, Luke would dominate Darth Vader, slicing off his hand. It was Luke's use of the dark side which enabled him victory over Vader. Yes, Luke was able to renounce his use of the dark side and proclaim himself a Jedi to Darth Sidious, but it does not change the fact that he used it in the first place to achieve victory. This is a strong case for the dark side's strength over the light. But with its power comes great sacrifice as well. As Yoda would say, the dark side of the Force are they. Easily they flow, quick to join in a fight. Beware of them. A heavy price is paid for the power they bring. It's clear the dark side flows much easier than that of the light side. While this is true, I think it's much harder to master the dark side. Think of a real-life scenario. When we get angry, we feel a huge adrenaline boost. We feel we could punch through a wall. But that adrenaline burns fast and hot, and smolders out quickly, difficult to control. Rage and aggression afford us great strength, but without control, it can consume us, make us sloppy. This is what would happen to Anakin Skywalker when he fought Obi-Wan Kenobi. His rage, which was previously controlled in the Jedi Temple, gave him strength and speed he never knew. Against Obi-Wan, however, he let his rage blind him, making him careless. What's more, continued use of the dark side without control eventually broke the user down. We see this with many Dark Lords whose physical and mental prowess waned over time. The most extreme case would be with King Amen, a Sith sorcerer so broken down by the dark side, he needed an exoskeleton to simply support his survival. Essentially, the dark side was a drug. For a time, it gifted its user with an astounding power, but once that high was gone, it wouldn't be pretty. By comparison, the light side of the Force was much easier to master and sustain, but much harder to find initial trust in. The dark side of the Force was always a barrier to the light, always giving you an easy way in, but no easy way out. So it's actually pretty difficult to determine which is more favorable. Do you go with the dark side, which affords you great strength but little longevity? Or do you go with the light side, which may not be as strong, but is long-lasting? Some Jedi have attempted to find a balance of both, most notably the Grey Jedi. Grey Jedi had two meanings, but when I refer to the name, I speak of the Jedi who teetered between the light and dark. The most famous of this type of Jedi would of course be Revan, formerly Darth Revan, who was intimate with both the light and dark. However, I feel the Jedi most effective at achieving a balance of the two, at least within the current main canon, with Mace Windu. His use of Vaapad was an exact expression of balance. He used the darkness within himself, but did not let it touch or corrupt him. He was a progressive Jedi, allowing the natural occurrence of the dark side to be used as a weapon for the light. His philosophy of course would be picked up later by Luke Skywalker and the members of the New Jedi Order, but who knows what Episode 7 will bring in that regard. With all that being said, I am still looking for a definitive answer to the original question. Is the dark side stronger? We have seen benefits of both the light and dark. We have seen the detractions of both. We have also seen examples of how the light and dark has been implemented in different scenarios. So in a word, I would still say, yes, the dark side is stronger. Yet, its strength comes at a grave cost, and ultimately, is that cost really worth it? As always, this is all just my opinion. Please leave your thoughts and comments below. If you had the choice, would you choose the dark side or the light side? No cheating. A balance between the two is not an option. You must choose. Do you agree the dark side is stronger? Or do you believe that the longevity of the light side still trumps it? Peace, love, and may the Force be with you. Always.